The optimism of youth. The promise of spring. The dreams of a lifetime. And the lure of the crowd have brought people to Churchill Downs on the first Saturday in May since 1875. It's the day that everyone has a favorite racehorse and a favorite hat. A day of unbridled thrill and unbearable anticipation. A day when people everywhere would love to call old Kentucky home. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, presented by Visa. It's been a year of waiting for us to see this sight again, the huge crowd on the infield, and the trademark twin spires of America's most legendary racetrack, Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. It's the first Saturday in May. It's the day they run the Kentucky Derby. And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln. Happy Derby Day, 1996, wherever you are, across America or around the world. We're set to answer many questions we've had all week about Derby 122. The primary question is, can Unbridled Song overcome a very eventful Derby week and flash the brilliant form he showed in the Florida Derby? And can he back up what his owner had to say? Ernie Paragallo says his horse will win this year's Triple Crown. A lot of questions about Unbridled Song. Will Skipaway maintain the form he showed in his record-setting Bluegrass victory? Will an outside post of bad dosage and the bounce theory catch him at Churchill Downs? Or will trainer Delane Lucas continue to rewrite history by winning a 6th consecutive Triple Crown event? Those are just some of the questions we'll try to answer here in the next 2.5 hours, and many more, I'm sure, as well. The weather also a bit of a question. Right now, it's overcast, temperature in the low 80s. Thunderstorms are in the forecast, though, but right now, there's a fast track for Derby Day 1996. We've got folks all over Churchill Downs, but in the backstretch with us now is Janine Edwards. Janine, I found out that they have closed the track for training this morning. Tell us about that.
That's right, Chris. When we got here this morning, the crew had been here for quite a while. They sealed the track very, very tightly last night. I don't know if you heard the thunderstorms last night, but I did. We had hail coming through here. We had a tornado warning. And what they did was they sealed the track very, very tightly. At about 6 a.m., they started to scrape the inside rail. They left it like that until, about 2 hours prior to post, and then they started to harrow. It's extremely fast. It's very dry right now, so it's looking good. And I don't know about the activity over there, but this is a pretty happening place right here, too, Chris.
Go racing here. The first of our 3 live races on the program, the Churchill Downs Handicap. Grade 3, $100,000 added. Thoroughbreds 4 and up, going 7/8 of a mile. Let's go on to our colleague in the paddock now, Bob Newmeyer, to set the field.
Chris, you mentioned the term handicap. In a race like this, the racing secretary, in this case Jerry Botts, assigns weights based on the horse's past performance. And as you'll see as we run down the field, Jerry believes this is a very even race. I do as well, and the betting public is reflecting that in the odds here in this handicap at 7 furlongs. We begin with Powis Castle. You might remember him. He was in the Derby a couple of years ago. He's a late-running sprinter. Not so Western Winter. This is a front-running Tide Pool B in on the rail, mixing it up early. Remarkably consistent, has never been off the board. Western Fame is another speedball, but he's a little bit dead on the board at 9-1. Top account with Pat Day. He'll be coming late off the back markers. Other horses that should show speed in here, number 8, 41, with Gary Stevens, number 9, Aircraft. He'll be up there mixing it up early as well. The only horse that looks to be a bit overmatched in here is number 10, Boulder Drive. This is a very difficult race to handicap. There are any number of horses that could get the job done, but it's a fascinating mix of early speed types and horses that like to run off the pace. I would look at number 2, Western Winter, as the horse to watch. He's going to kind of control the race from the inside with Shane Sellers. He ran a very good second to the classy Afternoon Delights in a graded race at Keeneland, but he's going to take some outside pressure early on that could set it up for horses like Powis Castle and Top Account. Boy, the odds board is wide open. This should be anybody's race here in the Grade 3 Churchill Downs Handicap. Chris?
Well, the horse is just now behind the starting gate for our 7/8 of a mile Churchill Downs Handicap. There you see it in the chute there in Churchill Downs. They all are trying to get to the winner's circle first, and that's where Caton Bader's waiting for them.
Well, Chris, we have a lot of activity going on by the winner's circle, even though the race is yet to be run. But the advantage of being right here is getting to see the horses come in as well as go out. And the first one to arrive to the paddock was Longshot Boulder Drive, and it seemed to have taken its toll on him. He was in the paddock the longest of any horse in the field. He was washed out when he came out. The horse that looked the best was Western Winter, but I like the California Speed. That Criolito could be very tough.
Okay, let's set some numbers for them to run at. The track record at 7/8 of a mile, 1:21.1. Rapid Gray set that back in 1985. The stakes record, not much off that. Just to check, 1:21.2. Olden Times recorded that mark back in 1964. The Grade 3 Churchill Downs Handicap, the first $100,000 added, high above our Fuji blimp, giving you that interesting shot as they're loading up. And I know getting ready as well, our announcer here this afternoon. Let's go to Tom Durkin.
Thank you, Chris. And the aircraft is moving into an outside post position. Farthest out will be Boulder Drive in this 7-furlong event. Real long run into that first turn here out of the 7-furlong chute. Boulder Drive moves in. We are ready for a start. And they're off. Sea Emperor breaks alertly. Boulder Drive also on the outside. 41 has speed. Western Fame and Western Winter down inside. Criolito is also with the first flight. So there's three of them now scrambling for the lead. It's Sea Emperor on the outside, grabbing a short lead. Western Fame second. Western Winter out sprinted early. He's down inside third. 41 is back and fourth. Criolito is now fifth. Aircraft is sixth. He's about 7 lengths from the lead. There's a break of 5 back to Topicon to his inside. Powis Castle, and the trailer is Boulder Drive. Moving right along. They zipped a quarter. It's 22 2/5 seconds, and Western Fame and Sea Emperor take their battle into the far turn. The speed duel intensifying here. They've opened up by 5 lengths. And that's Western Winter running in third. On the outside, 41 is fourth, and down toward the rail, Criolito is fifth by 5. By the back stretch, running Powis Castle beginning to gather some momentum. He's about 10 lengths behind as the field turns for home. And a torrid half in 44-1. Sea Emperor and Western Fame continue to slug it out. Here comes 41 on the outside. Criolito hemmed in at the fence. Western Winter's in between horses. Powis Castle coming on now. He's sixth at the 8th pole. Boulder Drive in the far outside. Inside the final furlong. 41 head-to-head with Western Fame. Criolito splits those two with a decisive thrust. And it is Criolito to win it. A daring move by Chris McCarron to get the victory. Over 41. It was a photo for third between Powis Castle and Western Fame. And the time here was 1:22 flat. Great ride, Chris McCarron.
Well, Chris McCarron won 3 on the Oaks Day card, and he's picked it right up on Derby Day here again. Criolito, the unofficial winner of the Churchill Downs Handicap, who did very well in dirt sprints in South America in 1994. Followed that up with some good going action short in the U.S. here. Bob Newmeyer, closer look here at our Churchill Downs Handicap.
Patience, patience, patience. Rewarded to jockey Chris McCarron. He had a tough trip inside. That's him 2 out from the rail, and he's going to split horses beautifully to run down 41 in the yellow and brown silks and win this one going away. This is an Argentinian bred trained by Bob Baffert, who's a very successful campaigner out in the West Coast. Criolito does come off the pace, but McCarron had him up relatively early and certainly took advantage of what was suicidal early mix-up between the two front runners. The winner with Chris McCarron is Criolito. Chris?
We're underway on ESPN from Churchill Downs on our Kentucky Derby Day special. Glad you're with us. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America, is brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 Olympic Summer Games. This Bud's for you. By Purolator, to protect your engine. Remember, pure oil now, pure oil later, Purolator. By Providian, insurance, credit, retirement, saving. And by Western Pacific Airlines. Fly Westpac and save money. Our Kentucky Derby Day special continues on ESPN from Churchill Downs, who have the running of our first live event, the Churchill Downs Handicap, run by the Argentine-bred Criolito. And you might recognize those racing colors, owned by Bob and Beverly Lewis, of course, the owners of the great Serena's Song. Bob Baffert, the trainer, and the Hall of Famer Chris McCarron riding. Tom Durkin to show you how Chris got to the winner's circle.
Well, Chris, he did it riding the rails. Here's Chris McCarron and Criolito at the top of the stretch here, down inside. That's the place you want to be. That's where you can save the ground. But that can cause problems because sometimes you can't get out. Western Winter, the horse in front at this point, stalling. And now here's McCarron. He actually forces his way into Powys, or rather into Western Winter, pulls his way through. And look at this. Through the eye of the needle, sending his charge on through. Chris McCarron, great, great ride. This is a case where the jockey won the race, Chris.
Thank you, Tom. Well, adding a little class and a little elegance to our program on this Derby Day 1996. Great to have Charlene Hawks back with us, and she is ready to get to work. She's up on the 4th floor of the Turf Club balcony. Charlene?
Thank you, Chris. I am with country music legend George Strait. And George, you raise quarter horses, but you are a thoroughbred owner. Tell us about some horse we might see in a year or two here at the Derby.
Well, let's see. We bought a 2-year-old in Florida the other day. That's we think he's got a lot of potential, and so who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. We got some other ones, some 3-year-olds that are running right now that we got a lot of high hopes for, but we'll just have to see.
You are involved in different aspects of the horse industry. What brings you the most excitement? The rodeo circuit, or the sophistication of thoroughbred racing, or quarter horse racing, the 17 seconds of fun?
Well, I love to watch horse racing. It's a lot of fun. It's fun to come out here and the crowd is so into it, and getting to be a part of that is a lot of fun. I race quarter horses, and we train them for team roping. I love the team rope. My son team ropes, and so in the future we hope to have some sales and sell some finished roping horses, but that's probably 3 or 4 more years down the road.
You probably, better than anybody, know these what to look for these horses. Give me your pick.
I don't know if I know what to look for. I haven't been too successful so far, but I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go with Zarb's Magic for the Derby.
That is going out on a limb. You're feeling pretty lucky?
Yeah, well, not so far.
Well, good luck to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. All right, let's go back upstairs to Chris.
Well, George Strait didn't have his hat on, but these ladies certainly do on Derby Day. Maybe George's cowboy hat's on the head of Dwayne Lucas right now. Let's make our Churchill Downs handicap official for you this afternoon. Our first of 3 live races. Criolito, the winner at 10:20, 5:40 and 4:20, 41 returns 6:20 and 4:40, and Powys Castle at 5. The running time 1:22, not too much off that stakes and track record. Wittenauer splits, Tom Durkin described it. They were zipping pretty quick. 22 for the quarter, 44 and 1 for the half, and home just under that stakes and track record at 1:22. So for those looking for a little bit of an idea of how the track's playing today, you can say fast right now. Roses everywhere at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Derby Day 1996. This is at Churchill Downs on the day they run the Kentucky Derby. Kate and Bader standing by in the winner's circle with the winner of our first live race today.
Well, the correct phrase would be winners. These are the connections that are going to hope to keep the streak going throughout this afternoon. But Chris McCarron has become a familiar face in just a short time here in the winner's circle at Churchill Downs. You've got to feel very positive at this point. 2 stakes wins yesterday and now today.
Oh, I'm on cloud 9 right now, and I hope I get on cloud 90 after the 8th race. But yeah, I'm feeling real good. The horses have been running real well for me the last couple days, so that pumps my confidence up real nice. And I'm just happy to be riding some good horses this weekend.
You're on the rail right here with seemingly no place to go.
Yes, we got in a little tight right here, and the horse, there wasn't, the hole was big at first, and then Gary Stevens saw me trying to come through, and he tightened it up a little bit. And but fortunately, he didn't tighten it up too much, and Criolito got his neck in there, and once his neck was in there, his body followed, and the race was history then.
Enough to give you a few butterflies, trainer Bob Baffert?
Well, I'm excited because that's the first race that I've ever won in Kentucky. I haven't fared too well, but we brought this horse over. We call him Beer Money because we brought him over to win a race, and I'm just sorry that the Lewises were here. They came to watch him run, and their daughter Nancy went into labor today, so they had to fly back to California, so I hope everything comes out well for them.
Well, hopefully they'll have 2 pleasant surprises for the afternoon.
I wish you guys were here. We missed you, but we'll get them next. You can be there next time.
Tell us about Cavanier quickly.
Cavanier, he's training good. All my horses have been training so well. This horse is training beautiful, and it feels good to start the day out good like this. So we're wishing some luck. And right now, Chris, he's hot right now, I'm telling you. So I feel confident about it. We just hope we have a good time.
Some hot combinations, Chris Lincoln.
What a winner's circle. I know they're hoping they'll be there after the 8th race. That's the Kentucky Derby. What a great look back at the spires here. And I remind you, ESPN's coverage of the Senior PGA Tours Payne Weber Invitational picks up tomorrow. Second round from Piper Glen in Charlotte, North Carolina. Our old broadcast buddy Bob Murphy attempts to defend his title in this $800,000 event. Well, joining me now, as he has yesterday, of course, on our Oak Show, Mr. Carl Pascarella. He is the president, CEO of Visa USA. What an impact this company is having now on thoroughbred racing in so many ways, Carl.
Thanks, Chris. We're happy to be part of it.
You know, we're talking about the points, about the Triple Crown. This certainly is the crowning event of this sport. Visa very much involved.
We're very happy to be a part of it. And, of course, the Kentucky Derby is the crown jewel of the Triple Crown and very, very important part of our 3-year-old championship.
I hope the folks have been enjoying the commercial Visa has produced, and there's quite a story behind that, Carl. Now, who shoots a commercial about the Kentucky Derby in March with 6 inches of snow on the ground in Louisville?
Well, Visa likes challenges, and that's really why we call it the 3-year-old challenge. And we started with the filming of the commercial in March in the snow. I think we had about 6 inches of snow here, and it was a really tremendous event. And, of course, it's going to be playing right through the Travers through the entire 3-year-old thoroughbred season. And we're looking forward to it because it really is underscoring our exclusivity in the thoroughbred racing world, and we hope supporting the thoroughbred racing industry.
Carl, thank you so much. We're looking forward to that perpetual trophy at the National Museum of Racing. Thanks for the support from Visa.
We're very, very proud to be a part of this. Believe me, Chris.
Carl Pascarella, President and CEO of Visa USA. Now let's take a look at his Visa points for the 3-year-old championships as they relate to our Kentucky Derby starters here today. Unbridled Song, of course, on top with 27. Then there's Bobby Baffert's Cavalier next. And, of course, they'll add 15, 10, and 5 for the top 3 horses to cross the finish line today at the Kentucky Derby. Our thanks to Visa USA. You take a look down over the paddock area on our Kentucky Derby Day special on ESPN. And it's time to take our first look now at this year's Run for the Roses. Let's start with the conditions for this 122nd Kentucky Derby. The first jewel of racing's Triple Crown. It is Grade 1, $1 million guaranteed. That's the richest Kentucky Derby purse ever. It is for 3-year-olds. They all carry 126 pounds, the most weight they've ever had to carry. They also will go 1.25 miles, the farthest they've ever had to race. 15,000 to enter, 15,000 to start. And joining me now, race colleague Tom Durkin. First time you've seen him, and oh, I see you have your lucky Derby hat.
Yes, I do, Chris. Matter of fact, it's a humid day, and I am having a bad hair day.
Now, somebody who never has a bad hair day, right? D. Wayne Lucas, one of the great stories of this Derby.
He is all over this place. He is all over town giving speeches, and he's got an agent, and he's got a lot of horses in this year's Kentucky Derby. Let's meet the field that will run for the Roses for the 122nd time. And victory speech in honor and glory. Yes, D. Wayne Lucas. Honor and glory. Gary Stevens jumped off this one to ride editor's note. Diligence, owned by the beloved George Steinbrenner and Louis Quatorze, who has been running against the very best and losing with great dignity, I might add. Bob Baffert sends out a pair, Cavalier, the Santa Anita Derby winner, a gelding, who gets better as the distances go longer on the weaker half of that entry, Semoran. Then Grindstone, trained by D. Wayne Lucas, and Editor's Note, trained by D. Wayne Lucas. Editor's Note, a lot of people fancy this horse. He just keeps on running at the end. Problem is he never keeps on winning. Halo Sunshine, maybe the longest shot on the board before the day is over. Zarb's Magic. Then we have In Contention, who has won a lot of races. He finished second, a good second, to Unbridled Song. Prince of Thieves, trained by D. Wayne Lucas, kind of a hard luck horse and getting a lot of play at the windows. 5-1. I can't believe that price right now. Alley Rob, a lot of support off a strong stretch run in the Santa Anita Derby. Skipaway, I can't believe this price either. A huge race in the Bluegrass, and yet he's 7-1. Unbridled Song a couple days ago, he would have been 6-5, 8-5, 5-1 because of that post and those brittle feet. And there you see the field, 7-1 right now. And Chris, the field is, you take the 5 worst horses in the race, you put them all together as one pari-mutuel interest. Usually it goes off at about 15-1, but with this wacky Derby this year, 7-1 right now.
Since you were talking last year about the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Championship, we watched Unbridled Song win that race, then he wins the Florida Derby, dismisses the competition in the Wood. Are you surprised there's this many competitors out against him in the Derby?
Not really. I'm a Cub fan, and we have this saying, wait till next year. Well, if you're a horse, you can't in the Kentucky Derby. Just have one shot. The average size of the field in the last 16 years for the Derby has been 17 horses, so it really doesn't matter if there's really a good horse or not. You just got to go if you got a good horse.
19 ready to run for the Roses this year. Let's go down to Bob Newmeyer now in the paddock.
Well, gentlemen, you mentioned the fivesome that Wayne Lukas is saddling today for the Run for the Roses. This young guy beside me will be riding one of them. His name is Aaron Grider. He's one of the bright young riders in racing today, and you're on Honor and Glory. Now, this was a horse that was highly touted all year in the West Coast, but kind of has lost his favor, seems to be slipping off form. Aaron, what do you know about him, and how do you assess your chances later today?
I think he's got a very good chance. I think he's coming into the race similar on paper anyway to what Thunder Gulch did last year. And I really don't think he's slipping all that much, if at all. He ran second in $1 million race, and he's been favored in every start, so he still gets a lot of respect, and we'll see what he can do today.
How did you catch this mount, Aaron? I know that you were without one earlier this week.
Well, I was very fortunate being in the right place, and I guess at this time I was fortunate I didn't have a lot of business in this race, you know, so I didn't have any conflict. But Wayne had been waiting on Unbridled Song and see what Mike Smith was going to do, and when that didn't develop, he was in need for a rider, and he threw my name in the hat, and for a few days he was unsure what they were going to do, but he told me Thursday morning Mr. Tabor and him had decided I had the mount, so it's a very big chance for me.
Aaron, he seems to be a free-running type of horse. The question always with this one has been the ability to get the distance. The speed is not an issue. I assume, though, you'll be pressing the pace with Honor and Glory today.
I would imagine he's going to be forwardly placed on his own. He is a free-running horse, Wayne had told me. And, you know, he told me the key to him today to get 1.25 miles is to get him to relax. He told me to ride it like it's 1 1/8 miles, and if I'm in front at the 8th pole, he said, you'll win the race. So that's how I'm going to ride it and look at the 8th pole as the wire.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Aaron Grider aboard Honor and Glory in today's Kentucky Derby. Chris?
Oh, imagine how excited that young man has to be. Well, for your official welcome to Churchill Downs on Derby Day, the president and CEO of Churchill Downs, Tom Meeker, also is going to talk to us about the involvement of this great racetrack in the local community.
Thoroughbred racing means a lot of things to a lot of people. For those of us in the business, thoroughbred racing means spending an afternoon at the races watching the equine athlete perform. It means spending a day with friends at the racetrack and enjoying a day of handicapping. But for others in the Louisville community, thoroughbred racing means a lot of different things. Each year, Churchill Downs sponsors the Scoutorama, where some 3,000 Boy Scouts have the opportunity to camp out in the infield at Churchill Downs beneath the historic Twin Spires. And for others in our community, thoroughbred racing represents an opportunity for the artisans of Kentucky to display their arts and crafts at this Commonwealth's most historic landmark. And for those of us in Louisville, thoroughbred racing signals the coming of spring with a 2-week-long Kentucky Derby Festival. For those of you joining us today on the ESPN broadcast, we wish you a great Derby weekend as you watch the best in thoroughbred racing.
America's most legendary racetrack, they call it, Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. And when we come back, we'll take you on the roller coaster ride that has been the week for the Kentucky Derby morning line favorite, Unbridled Song. Churchill Downs, two of the most famous figures in thoroughbred racing internationally now. Alan Paulson on screen left there, and to his right, his young trainer, Billy Mott. They, of course, the connections of the Horse of the World cigar. What a great time we had in Dubai as he won the $4 million World Cup to become racing's all-time leading money earner. Well, great Stanley Cup hockey action coming up on ESPN tonight. Doubleheader, Florida, Philadelphia at 7. That'll be followed as the Blackhawks will try to stay undefeated in Stanley Cup play at 10 o'clock as they'll be on the ice against the Avalanche in Colorado. That's NHL doubleheader hockey for you. Bob Newmeyer down in the paddock.
I was a little curious, Chris, when you posted current odds of 5-1 on Unbridled Song. He was actually 11-1 in the early wagering yesterday here on Oaks Day. And that certainly is a far cry from all the hullabaloo that we heard about a week ago when folks were touting Unbridled Song as the next winner of racing's Triple Crown. Well, I think the events of the past week just go to show how fragile this game can be. Unbridled Song draws a crowd wherever he goes, and generally the crowd is cheering. That was not the case on Tuesday morning, when it was revealed that the colt had a potentially serious foot problem.
To the touch, he's a little tender on it. So we're trying to get him through a couple days and toughen that up. We're just hopeful that this new shoe makes him a little more comfortable, and we get closer, and that's where we're at.
Ryerson's press conference put to rest any fears about Unbridled Song's soundness, much to the relief of the Colts owner.
On Tuesday, I knew what he originally had. I was there when we found it in the wood, that he had a little quarter crack there that we patched. On Tuesday, I found out that the bar shoe that we put on to protect the quarter crack had caused a little inflammation near the bulb of the foot.
What Paragallo found out about on Tuesday was old news to his bloodstock agent, Buzz Chase.
Monday, we knew there might be some problem with the foot. Monday, I happened to leave here, and I was a little concerned on the way the horse galloped.
Chase wasn't the only one concerned with Unbridled Song on Monday. Trainer Jim Ryerson knew all too well the Derby favorite was in trouble.
And when I came back to walk him and was walking him, I could tell he wasn't right.
At this point, Team Unbridled Song sprang into action, comforting their horse and keeping their Derby hopes alive.
I felt the first thing comes first is the horse, and I thought we had to get him on a road to recovery if we were going to run in the Kentucky Derby. So what we did, we got here Tuesday morning at 4 o'clock. The blacksmith, we took the patch off, and it's been progress ever since.
Progress indeed. Less than 24 hours after this gloomy gathering, Unbridled Song blazed 4 furlongs under a blanket of darkness here at Churchill Downs. His connections were relieved, and his jockey sang words of praise.
As well as he's been doing lately, and then after the breeze yesterday morning, I mean, he breezed incredible. I mean, showed no signs of favoring the foot at all. Matter of fact, it's even doing that much better today, so I'm just happy we're in there. I'm not concerned about anything else. I'm just happy that we're in the race.
For him to go from Monday afternoon to Wednesday morning to work like he did kind of shows you how quickly he got on the right track.
Unbridled Song's Derby dreams seem back on track at this point, but that was before the post-position draw on Wednesday night.
Number 20, Unbridled Song, Mike Smith.
Unbridled Song had his ups when we first got here, then he had his downs. Then he had his ups when he worked, and then he drew the 20-hole. And I think the 20-hole is just great. So it's been up and down, so we're all happy. The last one, to everyone's mind, was a downer, the 20-hole. To me, it wasn't. And I don't think it is to Unbridled Song.
Unbridled Song, it has been a roller coaster ride, and wherever this Kentucky Derby is taking us, it looks like we're going to be following Unbridled Song. What a story. At barn 33, Unbridled Song has been waiting to try to get his opportunity to prove everybody wrong here this week. That's where Janine Edwards is for an update now.
Chris, this has been such a day-to-day, even minute-to-minute situation that we went right to the experts. This is Dr. Foster Northrup, who is the vet. He's been Jimmy Ryerson's vet for the last 3 years. And Foster, please give us an update and tell us exactly what you did for this horse.
Well, he's doing well today. He's been doing well the last few days. This is a shoe that we had on him earlier in the week. This is called a Z-bar shoe. It was put on him to protect his injured area on his hoof. He was then switched to this shoe. This is called an egg bar shoe. We added a rim pad, which adds a little extra cushioning, and cut the rim pad out right through here where the injured part of his hoof is just to give him as much relief as we could.
Now, is this a fairly common problem with horses? I mean, how often do you see this type of injury in horses running with it?
Quarter crack injuries are very common in the thoroughbred. A lot of horses run with it, and a lot of horses run well with it.
So you really can't really say if you think it'll be a problem. I want to ask you, though, your professional opinion, whether you think this will bother him or not, because I know that the owner and the trainer were both a little bit concerned. Obviously, it was on their faces that they had to wonder.
Well, anytime you have this type of problem going into a big race, you worry about it. We don't know if it's going to bother him during the race because he's a horse and he can't tell us. I wish he could. But he breezed awfully well on Wednesday, came out of the breeze perfect, so we all are hoping that he runs a great race today.
And we certainly hope that he does. He can't talk, but hopefully he'll answer some questions for us this afternoon, Chris.
A half-mile breeze, a lot different than a mile and a quarter. That is not Unbridled Song. He'll have no flowers in his hair. He just wants roses afterwards.
With
ESPN welcomes you back to our Kentucky Derby special. Part of our thrifty car rental Racing Across America series presented by Visa. And let's give you another look at the odds presented by Auto Tote. Current odds here at Churchill Downs for the 122nd Kentucky Derby. There you see the win pool over 3.2 million, probably just about a third of what will be bet. And Victory Speech, Honor and Glory, too soon with it, 20-1. Diligence, Louis Couture's at 11. And there's the Bobby Baffert Cavalier at 5 with Chris McCarron, and Cimarron also part of that. Then the Grindstone Editor's Zone entry at 6. Halo Sunshine, Zarb's Magic, the Arkansas Derby winner at big prices there. In contention at 18. Prince of Thieves getting a lot of support at 5. That's probably because of Pat Day, the Churchill Downs favorite. Alley Rob Skipaway at 7. Unbridled Song at 5-1. And the field horses, you get all of these with one bet, and they're all at 7-1. We scratched City by Night on Friday because of a foot infection. Well, of course, you saw Bobby Baffert earlier in the winner's circle, the Churchill Downs handicap. He hopes we'll have a chance to interview him after the 8th race today, the Kentucky Derby. He's got 2 in the field, and Cavalier and Cimarron. He is one of 6 rookie trainers in this field. Leslie Visser has a closer look.
He is silver-haired, silver-tongued, and comes to the Derby with more than one colt. His name isn't Wayne Lucas, but Bob Baffert. Who is this guy? He grew up along the Mexican border in southern Arizona. He used to train quarter horses until 5 years ago, and no, he doesn't think the Derby is a mile and 440 yards, and he's innovative. Wait till you see how he communicates with his staff.
Going 12. Just keep a hold of him there. He went 12 there. Not any faster.
As befits modern technology, Baffert is wired for sound. Every morning he talks to exercise rider Kristen Mendoza on a handheld radio, instructing her how to work the horses.
Before I work a horse, we look at the track condition, if it's heavy, if it's fast. So we work from a different pole. If I want to go 5/8, track that the lane is dead, I'll leave from the half-mile pole and we'll gallop out. So it has a lot of, I can call an audible. If she's going too fast, I say, you're going a little fast. Slow it down a little bit, pick it up, whatever, but the work comes out perfect. I feel Derby bells. That was good, Christian. All right, Betty.
Do you think we'll ever see it in a race?
I would love to use it in a race. I talked to Gary Stevens about it, and he told me, if you really feel that your rider needs a radio, then you shouldn't be using that guy. But I told him we can't get Gary Stevens every time. Sometimes we got to get somebody else.
Baffert's hopes in the Kentucky Derby rest with 2 horses, Cavalier, a California-bred gelding who won the Santa Anita Derby, and Cimarron, who won the Remington Derby but faded to 6th in the Bluegrass.
Cavalier, Mr. Elegant, he has a long stride, and the main thing we don't want him to be, we don't want to disturb that stride. We want to keep him where he doesn't run up behind horses or has to check him or anything. As long as you keep him in a nice, smooth stride, he'll be fine. Cimarron, he's more of a determined little horse. He's the kind of horse that if the earth was flat, he'd run off the end of it. I mean, that's the kind of horse he is. So I know he's going to give it everything he's got. Whether he can go 1.25 miles, that's a big question, but he'll be ready.
Entered in his first Derby, Baffert can already smell the roses.
For the first time, it hit me that I can win this thing, and I felt that way about the Breeders' Cup and 30 Sloughs. So I'm sure I'm going to have trouble sleeping the rest of the week. Because when you know you can win it, that's when you get nervous.
If Baffert wins, he'll join another champion trainer who came over from the quarter horses. Baffert and Lucas have known each other for years, but Baffert says they don't compare.
Well, first of all, my hat that I wore was much better looking than Wayne's.
Because? What's wrong with his?
His looks like he got caught in the elevator doors. If you look at it, it's straight up like that.
Well, those of us that remember through the quarter horse days of D. Wayne Lucas and Bobby Baffert remember them both well in cowboy hats. Take a look at this mass of humanity in the infield. What a great party place that is on Derby Day. The giant red, white, and green Fujifilm blimp has joined us here in Kentucky to bring you this view from the top of Churchill Downs of the infield and of the beautiful countryside here around Louisville, Kentucky. Let's head over to Charlene Hawksdown, the Turf Club balcony with some special guests.
Thank you, Chris. I'm on the turf terrace overlooking the paddock, and with me is one of the most popular figures on the PGA Tour, Fuzzy Zeller. And Fuzzy, you are a long-time Derby comer. You just live right across the river. And how long have you been coming here?
Well, it's been at least 22, 23 years. Probably when I was a young pup.
Yeah.
But you know, this is our spring fling here in our area, Kentuckiana area. And first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Hope you're having a great time.
Oh,
really.
Great time. Yeah. Hey, you've got a new show on ESPN, Outside with Fuzzy Zeller. I caught you trying to reel in a marlin in Costa Rica.
Okay, that was
Does
something.
golf prepare you for deep sea fishing?
Well, the reason why I play golf is so I can do all that curricular stuff on the outside. It's a reason for that. I'm trying to figure out a way to get away from those 3-footers or break a foot and a half. And no, but the Kmart Outdoors has been a great relief for me. It's kind of keeping me active, keeps me in front of the TV camera, and also I can have a lot of fun with it and get away from the crazy game of golf.
Oh, sure. Well, now, you're just about 4 years away from being a rookie again.
Oh, I love it when you talk like that. Oh, it's about 5 years away, but you know, those carts are coming a lot faster than I want them to. I can tell you that. But I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, good luck to you. First of all, we got to find out what your pick is, since you know what you're doing, right?
Well, I can go by what my son did last year. He picked the winner, so I got to go with Honor and Glory in the Derby. He picked it again yesterday. He pulled a paper out and he said, I want that one, and that was it. So I'm going to have to bet that with him.
Okay. Well, we'll take a good look at it. Good luck to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back up to Chris.
Well, celebrities from every part of the sports world. Here's the heavyweight champion of the world, George Foreman, signing some autographs. We'll have scores in a Sports Center studio update with Gary Miller right after this break. All right, Gary, our Kentucky Derby special rolls on from Louisville, Kentucky. The Day of Roses here and a day of dreams for anybody in the horse industry. And we're ready to set up our second live race of our Derby Day coverage, the Providian Mile. Let's take a look at the conditions now for you, and a good field set for us. $75,000 added. It's 1 mile on the turf. It's fillies and mares 3 and up. And Bob Neumeyer's the man with the field.
Chris, a lot of folks have a soft spot in their heart for gray horses. Well, you're going to love this one. Number 1, Apolda, is the prohibitive favorite here in the Providian Mile, and she is a magnificent gray mare, 5 years old, 12 career starts, 8 wins, 3 seconds, has never been off the board, and she certainly is the favorite in this race. As we run down the balance of the field, it's a compact one, but a couple of contenders we should look at. For example, number 3, Country Cat. This is another in the D. Wayne Lucas stable. Yes, Wayne can train them on the grass as well as the dirt. Appointed one is a filly by Danzig. Now, she'll need to improve to challenge Apolda this afternoon. A couple of other horses on the outside that bear a little curiosity. Certainly, Romy, on her best day, despite the 17-to-1 odds, is a freewheeling kind of mare, and if she's in the right mood, she could be troublesome this afternoon. And Bold Ruritana at 5-2. She's the second choice, and she won this race here last year. Joining me is Irv Bailey of Providian, and you're an old saw at this thing. You've been with us several times here on ESPN. Tell us about your interest in Churchill Downs with your company.
Well, we've been sponsoring a race here for 8 years and the Providian Mile for 7 years. We're in the financial services business, life insurance, and consumer credit. And this is just a wonderful name to get our name out and be part of this wonderful festive week here in Louisville.
Now, if history serves me well, Irv, I know that you've been pretty shrewd at picking the winners of your own race here at Churchill Downs over the years. So, with that in mind, I have to ask you, may I have the envelope, please, and who's that winner this year?
Well, I think Apolda is absolutely the horse to beat. She won the Jenny Riley a couple of weeks ago. 4 years out of 6, the winner of the Jenny Wiley has won the Providian Mile, so it's almost a sure bet.
And I'm looking up there at even money, so obviously the conservatism is the best way to go here with financial services at this point.
I think so, certainly in this race, yeah.
All right, Irv Bailey touting the favorite Apolda, and why not? She looks terrific coming up in this race. Chris?
The fillies and mares are on their way out on the track now for the Providian Mile. We'll be right back. Glad you're with us on our Kentucky Derby special on ESPN on this first Saturday in May. Anytime you talk about the Kentucky Derby, at least for the last 16 years, you have to talk about one man, trainer D. Wayne Lucas. Caton Bader has a lot more about D. Wayne.
Chris, Team Lucas has been the dominating force in racing for the last 15 years, but the phrase Team Lucas takes on an entirely different meaning this year as the former basketball coach brings to Kentucky his own starting 5. The year was 1978, and the best team in college basketball was Kentucky. There was pure splendor in the Bluegrass State as the Wildcats reigned supreme. A month later, the splendor continued as a firm took his first step toward winning the Triple Crown. What the two accomplishments had in common was teamwork. Without it, victory isn't possible. This afternoon, the top team in thoroughbred racing will try and continue its quest for Triple Crown dominance. Team Lucas, winners of the last 5 Triple Crown races, will send its own starting 5 to the post. Horse racing's version of the Fab Five is on a historical roll, and this year is loaded for bear.
We're strong top to bottom. If you make the basketball analogy, we've got a good point guard in Honor and Glory, and we've got a good off non-shooting guard in Grindstone probably, and then Victory Speech and would play the offside forward, but we got a power forward in Prince of Thieves. So we're in good shape. Offensively, we're very good.
This team is very good because it's very committed. From the guy who rakes the shed row to the grooms who handle the horses to the jockeys who ride. Team Lucas is more than just the man with the $1 million smile.
I've got marvelous assistants. I've got really great assistants, and I delegate a lot of authority to them. I let them take a lot of the responsibility in different divisions. I more or less am the coach with assistant coach. I'm in the tower. We lose together and we win together, and we have a lot of camaraderie. And again, I think that nobody gets to a Derby or a Breeders' Cup or any of these championships without a lot of help from other people.
You know, it's quite an accomplishment just to get here with one horse, let alone to get here with 5. And I think somebody was telling me earlier this morning that back in the 20s, some man came to the Derby and had 4 horses entered, and that was the record at the time. So Mr. Lucas just continues to keep setting records.
He's the best recruiter the business has ever seen. And now, obviously, with the 5 horses this time in the Derby, it says it right then and there, you know. It says enough right there, 5 horses in the Derby, 1 trainer. That's pretty amazing.
What's also amazing is how history has a habit of repeating itself. Last month, Kentucky won another national championship led by its go-to guy, Tony Delk. If there's a Triple Crown in Team Lucas's future, they'll count on their go-to guy.
If it gets to be a street fight, if it gets to be a Donnybrook out there with 20 head and a lot of banging around and a rough run race and so forth, I would say Editor's Note is the survivor. He's tough. He's the kind of horse that maybe can make some mistakes, but he's also has a lot of brilliance to him. And if it gets down to a street fight, I like him.
Well, our coach Lucas may be a match for any thoroughbred trainer, but he's no match for our Mr. Basketball. Dick Vitale, baby, he was here this week at Churchill Downs in the paddock with D. Wayne. I don't think he minds if we listen in.
Did you ever think you'd get to this point of your life to become such a star at what you do?
Well, when I started out, I was just hoping that I could run a horse where they bet on him at a Farm Mutual racetrack and they would recognize it. And
now 5 in the Derby, unbelievable.
Dick, I'll tell you what, there isn't one, if you go back 5 generations in my pedigree, my family, there isn't one guy that hooked a horse to a buggy, let alone a horse.
Wow.
So we've come from ground zero. You know, it's been fun and it's been a great trip. I hope it isn't ending tomorrow.
Well, in closing on, I'm simply going to say, baby, and little Vitale's, this guy is awesome, baby, with a capital A. He's the original 3S man, super scintillating, sensational, and he's a PDPer, a prime-time player. D. Wayne Lucas. Don't bet against him.
I don't think anybody could ever say it any better than Dickie V. Thank you, Dickie. I'll tell you, when Lucas puts horses in a race, everybody looks and listens and talks and puts odds on him, too, as do the folks at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. Take a look at this kind of a race within a race bet for you. That's how they think the Lucas horses will line up and who they favor among Wayne's starting 5 for the 1996 Kentucky Derby. When we come up, we'll have the running of the Providian Mile here at Churchill Downs. Stay with us. The race of our Kentucky Derby special, the Providian Mile, is brought to you by Providian Insurance, Credit, Retirement, Savings. And a reminder, today, the Kentucky Derby, our wrap-up and highlight show will come up at 6 o'clock on ESPN2, 1 hour to recap, analyze, talk to the winners and the losers. Now let's give you the odds update presented by Autotope for the Providian Mile. Apalde's odds on here. Fleet Hill, a big price. Country Cat, appointed 1 at 8. Buffkins also in double digits. And it's Romy. Bulwer 10 at 5-2. Last year's winner, Rain Dance 40, and Tipper 2 has been scratched. 8 to go in the Providian Mile. The first $75,000 added here on the Matt Wynn Turf Course. Tom Durkin set to call it.
And Apolda sitting in a pretty good spot at the rail on this tight turned 7 furlong grassy oval inside the main track here at Churchill Downs. The main speed here will be Long Shots Rami and Rain Dance. Apolda's got some good tactical speed, and she's got enough to stay up there pretty close. Also, Appointed One has some good early leg, too. Final horse moving into line here. Rain Dance on the outside in the gates and ready to go. And they are off. And Appointed One gets off to a good beginning and assumes the early lead. On the far outside, Rain Dance is there. Rami is up close. Bold Ruritana is also in there. And down inside Fleet Hill. Bias for the first time. Rain Dance takes the lead and actually makes it rather easily. Rain Dance from her outside post is guided to the rail. She outhooked him into the first third. Appointed One is running second. Fleet Hill on the inside third. Bold Ruritana up close on the outside fourth. Rami is fifth, and the favorite Apolda is sixth. She's about 7 lengths from the lead. And there's a break of 3 back to Pumpkins, and Country Cat is the early trailer. A tepid first quarter there of 24 seconds flat. They're moving down the backstretch, and the tempo appears to be quickening. It's Rain Dance coming under pressure from Appointed One. 2.5 lengths back, and Fleet Hill runs along in third. And then it's Bold Ruritana in fourth, and Jerry Bailey guides Apolda to the outside at the half-mile pole for a clear run. They did pick up the half in 47 3/5 seconds. The field moving into the far turn. Rain Dance, Appointed One, still right there, keeping the pressure up. Apolda's in gear on the outside. Down toward the inside, it's Fleet Hill. In between horses, Bold Ruritana and Rami coming under a ride. They're nearing the top of the stretch, and Appointed One is taking the lead now. It's Appointed One, the leader, as the field turns for home. Bold Ruritana poised for the stretch drive on the outside. Rain Dance hanging tough. Apolda is toiling back and forth. They're coming down to the final furlong now. Bold Ruritana with a short lead. Apolda giving her all on the outside now. Here's Apolda, and a late charge from Country Cat. Last down the backstretch, she's flying now. Apolda emerging with the lead. Country Cat coming late. Too late. Not enough. Apolda wins by 3/4 of a length over Country Cat second, and Bold Ruritana third. At the top of the stretch, it didn't look like Apolda was going to get anything here, but she was resurgent in the stretch and came on, and class will tell.
That it does, Tom Durkin. 9 wins in 13 career starts for this brilliant 5-year-old mare by Alan Paulson's Theatrical, standing at his Brookside Farms in Kentucky here. Owned by Alan Paulson, trained by Billy Mott, ridden by Jerry Bailey. The Cigar team, very impressive today. Bob, I thought she was done also at the quarter pole.
Well, Chris, Tom Durkin used the word class. Horses have ability, but you have to look inside the heart. And this gray mare showed so much heart down the lane, 3 wide. Look at the attacking mood on the outside by Country Cat with Gary Stevens. Looked to have the most momentum in mid-stretch, but Jerry Bailey and the brilliant mare Apolda would not be denied, winning it by 1 length. They say the old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be. Not in the case of Apolda. Even money, but a few anxious moments. What a race.
Apolda, the unofficial winner of our Pavilion Mile here at Churchill Downs. Back at Churchill Downs, you're looking at Jerry Bailey up on Apolda, the gray mare owned by Alan Paulson, bred by Alan Paulson, trained by Billy Mott. I was looking back through her past performances in the daily racing form. It goes back to 10, and of those 10 past performances, she's either first or second. Great consistency. Consistency, class, cash. The 3 C's of thoroughbred racing. She added a bunch of cash today in the $75,000 stake. Will put her over the $500,000 mark in earnings. There's Alan Paulson, his wife Madeline there, along with Billy Mott, his wife Tina in the winner's circle with Jerry Bailey, and Tom Durkin has a closer look at a really gutty performance and a classy one, Tom.
We'll take a look at Apolda. She's the gray mare on the outside. I want you to look at her ears. You can tell a lot about a horse and the kind of mood they're in by their ears. Look how they're pinned back and in a very fierce and aggressive kind of position. When horses are sometimes unhappy and really in a battle, they pin back their ears. This goes way back. They like to protect their ears because it's their first line of defense. So they always, when they're in a battle, when they're in a fight, they pin them back. But when they're happy horses, they prick them up. And there you see a horse under the wire in a real fierce battle. And here she is, back on the track, back in the winner's circle. And look at her ears pricked up. She's happy. She won. Look at the ears. It'll tell you a lot. Chris?
Very impressive. And Apolda, let's take a look at the return. I mentioned she was obviously the big favorite. 382, 82, 20. Country Cat, 420 and 280. Bold Ruritana, 260. And the running time of the Pavilion Mile, 136 and 2. And this 5-year-old, again by Theatrical out of Paloma Blanca. put it in this way as far as the fractions. 24 flat for the quarter, 47 and 3, 111 and 4. Into our final time, 136 and 2. Apolda wins the Providian Mile here at Churchill Downs on Derby Day. Well, Charlene Hawks busy with the celebrities on the other side of the grandstands. Charlene?
Chris, all week long it's been rumored that Fleetwood Mac would be here. Well, Mick Fleetwood is with me, and you're used to rumors. But last night at one of the Derby Eve parties, you had a little informal jam session with Steve Winwood. Your fans would have loved to have been there.
The whole band is actually here, apart from Lindsay, who's stuck in the studio back in L.A. I've been working with Lindsay on a new album he's doing, so Stevie was up there, and me and Steve Winwood, John McVie, and myself were having a little jam at the Barnstable Brown family, the diabetic charity they were running.
Doing it for charity.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is your first Derby.
This is the first Derby. I just won on the last race. We've been losing badly, but it's just great. The whole atmosphere is fantastic. It's great.
Tell me about, you've got a ticket in your hand. Well, this is for?
Yeah, this is for the Derby tomorrow.
You mean this afternoon?
It's this afternoon.
Got another
we're live. We're live, folks, and that's how bad it was last night. No.
You know a lot about horse racing, huh?
I just about know my own name. Yeah, what's her name?
Cavanier.
Cavanier, yeah. And it's out of California.
You know,
it's been running
that's
really
my
well.
pick, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good. We're smart. Okay. Hey, well, good luck to you in your project.
Fantastic.
It's good to see you here at the Derby.
Yeah.
We'll go back upstairs to Chris.
Thank you, folks. There you take a look at the big infield crowd, and we're ready to go to the winner's circle now. Caton Prater set with one of the great jockeys of the world, Jerry Bailey.
Jockey Jerry Bailey was just commenting about the Apolda's late rally, and it looked as though she took a little while to get into gear.
Yeah, usually she's push button. When I asked her, she's there. Today, I was kind of worried. I'd like to say I wasn't, but I was. I ran out of horse around the turn, tucked her in, hoping she'd fire a little bit through the stretch. When I put her back out, she really did. She ran the horse down nicely.
We're going to pick it up at the top of the stretch, and as you were saying...
I've been riding a long way right here, and finally I just put her back out in the clear again, hoping that she would take off. And I thought Pat Day had too much momentum to catch, but she did the job.
Now, there was a late rallier at the end from Country Cat. Any concern there?
I never saw her, to be honest with you. I mean, I thought I had the race put away, and I didn't want to punish my mare any more than I had to.
Good way to start the afternoon. You've got coming up another assignment with Grindstone in the Kentucky Derby. Tell us about that horse.
It's going to be fun. You know, he's not the most talented, I don't think, but he's not far behind him, and if he likes the track better than they do, and I have a pretty good trip, it wouldn't surprise me if he won.
That's the story from Jerry Bailey, and we'll go to another great jockey with Bob Newmeyer.
That's right, Kate. Mike Smith. This is his 7th try for the Run for the Roses. A few disappointments. Holy Bull, I guess, probably your biggest, Mike, but certainly a fascinating story involving your horse Unbridled Song this afternoon. What can you tell us about his condition, and what kind of race do you suspect he'll run today?
Well, as far as his condition goes, he's doing a lot better than what everybody says. As you well know, when something gets started, by the time he gets to the next barn, it just seems to get bigger and bigger. But we're not denying that he don't have a little problem. He had a bruised foot. We worked him with a bar shoe so that he wouldn't pound on that bruised foot. And he worked one of the best works here at Churchill Downs ever for a Derby horse. And if he runs anything like he looks, he should be double tough.
All right, we're looking at the workout now. This is obviously very early in the morning. Just tell us what's happening here, Mike. Are you nervous? Are you uptight? Are you anxious? What are your feelings as you work this horse on Wednesday?
Actually, I wasn't nervous at all. He had something to prove. He had something there, and he had to go out there, and he had to work the way he worked for us to run him. And so we wanted to see that. They didn't want no baby work. Don't go out there and baby. Go ahead and let him go out there and play a little bit if he wants to. Let him go out there and do what he wants to do. And so he had to prove to all of us that he's going to be okay for it. Passed it with flying colors, come off the racetrack bucking and playing. I mean, if I wouldn't have known he was there, I certainly could have ever told you.
But the fact is, Mike, you worked brilliantly in New York prior to the Wood Memorial, and this is not the same horse that he was then. I mean, would you admit that?
Well, to tell you the truth, he's got that, like you said, he's got that minor injury, but his work was incredible the other day. As a matter of fact, it was one of his best works that I've ever worked in. So if that's any indication on how he's going to run, I look for a big effort.
All right, thanks, Mike. Good luck.
Thank you.
Mike Smith on Unbridled Song. Chris?
So many symbols, so many traditions on Derby Day. Horses, spires, roses, and oh yes, hats. You have to have a great Derby hat. Across America, today's Kentucky Derby Day special is brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By Lens Crafters, helping people see better 1 hour at a time. Providian, insurance, credit, retirement, savings. By Purolator, to protect your engine, remember, pure oil now, pure oil later. Purolator. By Wettenauer Watches, the perfect balance of hand craftsmanship and advanced technology. Wettenauer, the watchmaker's watch. And by Doubletree Hotels and Guest Suites. Sweet dreams from Doubletree. They set a record on Oaks Day Friday here at Churchill Downs, more than 91,000. Last year's Derby crowd, better than 141,000. We'll try to get some numbers for you later in the show, but as always, a giant crowd on hand. Well, ESPN has more of racing, not just horse racing, but cycling as well. The Tour de Pont continues. Stage 4 coverage coming up tomorrow. America's Lance Armstrong, the defending champion, is the leader after the 3rd stage, the Tour de Pont on ESPN. Well, it's a rite of spring for the best race riders in the world to be shopping around for their their mounts on Derby Day. Janine Edwards has more on the story for us.
Not for jockeys to get Derby mounts, but they have other races during the days to worry about, and that's why they have agents that are lining up mounts for them each and every day, checking with the trainers, and they line up Derby mounts sometimes a year, 2 years in advance. But, you know, it doesn't always work out the way they plan, as we will find out. The trials and tribulations of Kentucky Derby jockeys and the horses they ride are well documented. A case in point is jockey Pat Day. In 1987, Day was riding Ali Sheba in California for most of the winter, then began riding a horse named Demons Be Gone in Arkansas in the early spring, and ended up riding him in the Derby.
Of course, Demons Be Gone was winning all the races in Arkansas at the time, and they had a bonus system set up whereby if you won the Arkansas Derby and the Kentucky Derby that you'd get $1 million bonus. So it became quite obvious that if he won the Arkansas Derby that I would ride him in the Kentucky Derby, which I did. The mount became available on Ali Sheba. Chris rode him back in the Bluegrass. He won the race, got disqualified, but he come on and won the Derby, and the rest was history.
Then there was the situation concerning Day's one and only victory in the Kentucky Derby. In 1992, Pat rode Lil E.T. because of a long-standing relationship with the horse's trainer. Lil E.T. wasn't the favorite that year, but ended up winning the race.
It's quite ironic, oftentimes, how things materialize and come to hand and enables the rider to be in that spot, and consequently, subsequently get the run for the roses.
And this year's Derby chase is no different. Take the case of jockey Craig Perrette. The man who rode Unbridled to victory in 1990 was riding a horse named Ide all spring. Ide was grabbing headlines before going down with an injury while training. Perrette was all of a sudden left in the dark before a late call brought him back into the sunshine.
Yes, up till just the last week, I was sitting, I thought I was all set with Ide, and then he come up with a problem that left me back out in the cold searching.
Several riders have ridden my horse, good riders, but had prior commitments to other horses, and so we were left quite late looking for a rider, and because Craig's horse got hurt, he was available, and we feel lucky to have him.
And this week, there was one jockey waiting and wondering until the 11th hour. Donna Barton has had her eye on Honor and Glory. Trainer D. Wayne Lucas wanted to give her the mount. Ownership kept her waiting and wondering.
It's similar to turning 30, but in the opposite direction. Like you can see something coming, but you ignore it because you don't know whether it's going to be good or bad, or you know how it's going to feel. And so it's I try not to get excited about it, and I try not to get my hopes up because I don't want to be let down. And if it's meant to be, it'll happen, and if it's not meant to be, then there'll be another year.
And one last word from a man who knows about Kentucky Derby horses, Nick Zito. His wins with Strike the Gold and Go for Gin were with jockeys who took the mounts right before the Derby.
I don't really care. Hirsch Jacobs, one of the great trainers of all time, he loved when a jockey took off his horse. He felt that was a positive, not a negative. He thought, you know, they're never right. So, you know, I kind of feel the same way.
Well, there's a party somewhere down there. You can be sure their party everywhere is on Derby Day across the nation, including at the King Ranch in Kingsville, Texas. They're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Assault, their Texas bred, who a half a century ago won the Kentucky Derby. We'll be back with that story right after this. The Kentucky Derby Special on ESPN. Why, it was just a year ago, Thunder Gulch at 25-1. We all dismissed him, and he won the Roses. There was another surprise, too, about a half-century ago. In fact, it was exactly 50 years ago today, May 4th, 1946, that a little Texas-bred colt named Assault shocked the racing world. This is the story of his golden anniversary year. The boys were coming home. The war to end all wars was over. The nation had a new hero in General Dwight D. Eisenhower. The St. Louis Cardinals, behind their star first baseman Stan Musial, would beat the Boston Red Sox in the 7th game of the World Series. It was 1946, when a new car cost $1,649. The annual salary was $2,359. And at Churchill Downs, servicemen cheered as Assault rolled to an 8-length upset in the 72nd Kentucky Derby. Assault carried the colors of the famed King Ranch of Texas to victory, and in so doing, made Derby history. History was nothing new to the King Ranch. They'd been part of it since 1853. The cattle ranch in South Texas that today is still over 825,000 acres, 1,300 square miles, larger than the state of Rhode Island. This is what most think of when you think of a ranch in Texas. But 50 years ago, King Ranch was on top of the thoroughbred racing world. It was in the mid-1930s that Robert J. Kleberg Jr. took off his cowboy hat and went east to get into the thoroughbred business. But there was something more on his mind, according to a fourth-generation Kleberg, Tio.
The people that were in the banking and the financial industry were in thoroughbred racing. So they not only were in control of the financing in the United States, they also were influential in the running horses. And I think that really was what took Bob Kleberg to look at the thoroughbred industry, was the people that were involved. And if King Ranch was going to prosper and grow, it had to be associated with that kind of people.
As usual, the King Ranch did everything big. It developed its own breeding and training program. And on March 26, 1943, an unraced Texas-bred mare named Igual, bred to the King Ranch-owned stallion Bold Venture, the 1936 Derby winner, foaled a colt that would be named Assault. Retired King Ranch veterinarian Dr. Monty Moncrief remembers.
Well, you have to have about six crosses of Brahma to make it in South Texas anyway. And I figure that Texas sun and the Texas heat had a lot to do with it, Chris. That's not a very scientific resume, but I think that has a lot to do with it. He was born tough, and he just never got over it.
As a weanling, Assault drove a surveyor's spike into his right front foot. Had to have a special racing shoe made. He also raced with shin and knee problems and was a bleeder. And he was never much to look at.
Well, you know, anything that's that close to your heart, you hate to say things just like you wouldn't call your wife ugly, but he was an ugly horse. He could just run like hell.
Assault won the Wood Memorial for his native Texas trainer, Hall of Famer Max Hirsch, but then ran fourth in the Derby trial and was dismissed at odds of 8-1 in the Kentucky Derby field of 17. His rider, 25-year-old Brooklyn jockey Warren Merton, remembers his first and only Kentucky Derby.
So there I was all day, waiting for the race to come around, and walking up and down, walking up and down, walking up and down, going to the bathroom a lot, and boy, I was scared to death. Very, very, very nervous until I got on the horse.
Breaking from the number 3 post, Assault was never worse than 5th. Now, a half-century later, at age 75, Mertens vividly recalls the details of his winning Derby ride.
Spy Song was in front of me, and Knockdown was on the outside of him, and I was laying third. And coming into the head of the line, the quarter pole, Johnny Longman on Spy Song saw a Knockdown coming, and he let his horse drift out just slightly to take Knockdown out a little bit. And when he did that, I snuck through on the rail and reached down and hit a cup of salt a couple of times, and he just opened up and won by 8 lengths. Lucky me.
The little Texas bred had done it. He had shocked the world. Unfairly nicknamed the club-footed Comet, he was finally favored in his 14th start at 7-5 in the Preakness, a stake run the Saturday after the Derby. Assault desperately held off Lord Boswell to win by a neck. On June 1st, the Texas Star left the paddock in New York as the second choice in the Belmont Stakes. He pulled away in the stretch to win by 3 lengths.
It was hot. It was all hot. He wasn't a big horse. He was 15 hands high. That's not big in racing, but he was all hot. He was a golden horse.
He had become racing's 7th Triple Crown winner as he set a single-season earnings mark of $424,195. Was named 1946 Horse of the Year and became a Texas legend.
I'm not so sure that we really understood in the 40s how prestigious it was to have won a Triple Crown.
It was just a source of a great pride. You know, Texans don't need a whole lot of encouragement to have a little pride.
The Pride of Texas was retired from racing at the end of 1950. He spent his final 21 years as a hometown hero back at his birthplace on the King Ranch. The legacy of one of the great eras of the turf can still be found on the vast King Ranch, where 89 stakes winners were bred, including Assault and Middle Ground, the only 2 Texas breds ever to win the Kentucky Derby. The old training track is almost grown over with brush and cactus. Just a few grazing steers now tend the Clayburgh's family viewing stand. The famed Running W. Silks were retired from racing in 1989. But oh, what glory they knew when Texans stood for the first time in the winner's circle of the Kentucky Derby 50 years ago, and where the memory of the 1946 Triple Crown winner, who many thought would never get to the track, will live forever. Car rental racing across America, presented by Visa, welcomes you back to our Kentucky Derby special on ESPN. There you see the still cameras, remote control, lined up just the other side of the finish line on the stretch here at Churchill Downs on the inside rail. More than 2,100 press credentials issued. There's more to capture, though, than horses. How about Paula Abdul, singing star? And, of course, we've got a number of celebrities, as always, turning out on Derby Day, and that's why Charlene Hawks is on hand this afternoon to bring a few of them to us. Charlene?
Chris, I found Bob Neumeyer's brother, Albert Brooks. Believe it or not. What do you think? Look at those 2. I think so. Albert, if you know half...
I think I look more like you.
Oh, thank you. If you know half as much as your look-alike down there, then you've been doing pretty well. Yes, you'd be doing pretty well today. How have you been doing here at your first day at the Derby?
I made a huge mistake. I ordered the salmon.
Oh, no.
It's a little hot for that.
Your first time at the Derby, what kind of impressions do you have?
Well, it's a madhouse. I've never seen any sporting event like this. It's great. I mean, I think people come here to... let me put it delicately. There's more liquor than I've ever seen at any one place.
That's true. Now, you were in a movie, The Scout, where you got a feel for what it must be like to look for the one athlete that will take you to the big time.
That's right.
And you know what it's like, then, to be an owner and a trainer here.
It's, I guess this is what you wait for. This is the race.
What projects are you involved with now?
With the Derby?
No, on your own. What projects are you involved with?
Well, I just finished directing a movie that I'm in called Mother, the definitive mother-son story, which Debbie Reynolds makes a 30-year comeback and plays my mother and is brilliant. Rob Morrow's in it, Lisa Kudrow, lots of wonderful people. So that's for Paramount. That'll be out in the fall. And This has taken about 24 hours a day of my time. It's a lot of work, yeah.
Well, anything you're in, I really like to watch. Now, what about your pick? You got to have a pick today.
I haven't studied it yet, but I understand that the thing to do is that you go with these multiple horses. So when you bet one, you're actually betting two. Since so many owners have these, I don't understand exactly how that works. I don't know how both horses have the same odds. They must average them. But I'm going to bet a trifecta and pick the multiple horses. So I have 9 chances instead
Sounds
of
smart.
3. It's not smart. The bellman at the hotel told me. No idea what I'm doing.
Hey, that's the best place to get information around here. Huh? Okay. Well, good luck to you. Thank you very, very much, Albert. All right, let's go upstairs to Chris.
All right, Albert, pay close attention. Here are the odds on your multiple choices. This is the current betting at Churchill Downs on the Kentucky Derby. The win pool almost $4 million, almost up to half what they'll be bet to win. All right, the first of the entries, Mr. Brooks. Victory Speech, Honor and Glory at 20. Diligence and Louis Couture, trained by Nick Zito at 11. Then it's Cavalier Cimarron at 5. Those from Bobby Baffert's stable. Grindstone Editor's Note at 6. Halo Sunshine and Zarb's Magic, both at 25. Looking down at Prince of Thieves at 5, a support with Cause of Pat Day. Unbridled Song is now at 5. They've been the Derby favorite on the morning line. Blowout, Corker, Built for Pleasure, Matty G, all at 7. And then you have the field horses as well. Those are the field all together there at 7-1. Albert Brooks will love that. The Z-Man, that is a little bit of a title we have for another feature on Nick Zito, the trainer who is a 2-time winner of this Kentucky Derby race and who simply loves this city and loves this event.
I live for the Kentucky Derby. I live for the Triple Crown. I don't care what happens in the fall. I'm glad for the Breeders' Cup. I'm happy what they've done for racing. And I hope, you know, I can win a Breeders' Cup someday. I was second with Mr. Greeley. I was third with, you know, 36er, but I don't really care. You know, no offense to anyone out there in Breeders' Cup land, but I'm a Triple Crown guy. I'm in a good position with Diligence and Louis. You know, hopefully they all, you know, raise themselves to a new level because great horse. And he could probably be a lot better than people think he is. And I think he's as good as any of the 3-year-olds I've seen. And his race was incredible, and hopefully he'll run Saturday. He's not a robust horse. He's tall, he's strong, and if he stays the same way, he's going to make some great efforts in these major preps for the Triple Crown.
Diligence digs down and holds on to the lead. Draw doing his best, and he's coming to him late. Diligence, short lead, and Diligence will prevail.
You never measure what's in he or she's heart. And he showed me that because Draw came up to him and he could have chucked it, and he dug in there again when he needed it, and that was the count. So I was really happy about that. The horse is very, very talented. The only thing I worry about Louis is he's a very nervous horse inside. I think he could be the one that maybe will get to the top of the class. Well, the most important thing is obviously to go forward. He went forward in his first race, he went forward in his second race. And if he could go forward in the Florida Derby, then he just keep going. And that's the most important, to get to the next step. That's the whole thing. Get to Kentucky somehow the right way.
On the inside, in second, that's Louis Couture. Up on the outside, gaining ground, Editor's Note, but nearing the wire. It skipped away.
You know, naturally, this morning I had mixed emotions. You know, very happy about Louis, very down about Diligence. When I talked to Mr. Steinbrenner this morning, hopefully I'll get him, you know, either today or tomorrow, and things settle a little bit, and see if we can roll the dice together and, you know, give this horse a chance because he's come this far. As far as Louis is concerned, well, he's earned the right to be in the Derby. This race put him over the top as far as going forward, and he definitely is in there. So I'd like to have 2. Right now, you know, the only race that means anything is the Kentucky Derby. You know, it doesn't matter per se as trophies, or it doesn't matter glory. It's, to me, satisfaction.
Nick's been here twice. The cupola of the famed winner's circle at Churchill Downs. It's used only one time a year. That's for the Kentucky Derby winner. Great overhead shot here at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Derby Day 1996, and by a nose, it's the Fujifilm blimp. Of course, by the time the tail of this big 194-foot-long airship crosses the finish line, it might be tomorrow, since its normal cruising speed is only about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Well, many of you may wonder where we keep Tom Durkin on a big day like this. Well, just take a look. Keep going now. Just a few feet, actually, from Millionaire's Row, and about $1 million shy of that. And as you close in the tiny little second window, well, he's really not worth seeing, but he's worth listening to. He's going to give you how the Kentucky Derby of 1996. Oh, wait, that's not Tom. That's a guest of his. Here's how the Derby will be run this year. Tom?
This year's Kentucky Derby, like most races, will probably be determined in the stretch, the first time around. For the old adage that pace makes the race is never truer than in the Kentucky Derby. This year, with 19 horses stacked up across the track, the early pace could be wicked. With the main speed Honor and Glory in post 13, frontrunner Matty G in post 18, plus the fleet-footed, excitable, and frequently overeager Unbridled Song in post 19, well, the stage is set for what could be a very fast opening act. Like last year, when Serena's Song, here in the green silks, was forced to run a suicidal first quarter in 22-2. It was too fast. She plodded home 16th. This year, the main speed, which may or may not include Unbridled Song, it depends if he can settle, will need to get a first quarter in no faster than 22-4. On the clubhouse turn, saving ground is always a positive, but the big negative, especially if the pace is fast, is to get hung up outside and move prematurely. We'd consider fast 46 seconds flat. The close to the pace contenders will benefit waiting off a fast pace or being close if for some reason the pace is moderate. Unbridled Song may or may not be with this group. He could be with the first flight. The backstretch frequently is the least dynamic section of the Derby, but a subtle breather here for frontrunners like Gopher Gin Received can steal the Derby. That seems unlikely this year. On the far turn is where you should see the winner make the winning move. A frontrunner like Winning Colors should be opening daylight. Close to the pace types like Swale should be taking charge. And closers like Strike the Gold should be in high gear on the far turn. The chances of these horses late depends on how fast others run early. The finish line for the Kentucky Derby is 1/8 of a mile from here, but it might as well be at the 8th pole. For in the last 34 years, the winner of the Kentucky Derby has been in front at mid-stretch 29 times. So if your horse is in front at the 8th pole, head on down to the window to cash.
All right, Tom, that's how they will run for the Roses in 1996. Jeanette Edwards still back in the barn area. Let's catch up with her, see what's going on there as we wait for the Derby horses. They're waiting too.
Well, Chris, Tom just told us how he thought the race will be run. Now I'm going to ask somebody who really has an interest in how it's going to be run. This is Brett Thomas, trainer of Zarb's Magic. How do you see the race setting up?
Actually, looks like about 9 legitimate speed-type horses here. Skip Away, Matty G, Unbridled Song. I think you'll see those 3 out close, maybe another horse. But my horse, Zarb's Magic, has tacticals, so hopefully be laying 4th, maybe 4 or 5 lengths off the lead. And at the top of the lane, maybe my horse moving up, and hopefully he'll be moving up, not back. But I think you'll see Editor's Note in contention, and Cavanier and Alley Rob making a bid, and hopefully that my horse will be close whenever the wire comes.
Are you going to give your jockey Ron Ardoin any instructions, or are you just going to let him pretty much ride the race?
I'm going to let him break, hopefully a clean break, and let him get a good look at the speed, and hopefully we'll get a position where we need to be before we get into the first turn.
Well, you actually probably have more butterflies about this race than anybody here. He's only been training horses for a year, and he's here already with his first Derby horse. What are you feeling right now?
Oh, it's been a super year. It's really nice to be here at Churchill. It's the first time I've been in Kentucky and at the Derby also. So it's really fun, but it's starting to get a little, the nerves are starting to set in.
Well, I know Zarby is back in his stall resting now, so we'll leave him alone. Let's go to Bob down in the paddock.
Well, we mentioned folks who have never won the Kentucky Derby, and this jockey is one of those. Corey Nakatani, certainly one of the most popular riders on the West Coast, and a lot of folks think that his steed, Ali Robb, has a big shot today. And Corey, a popular guy here on ESPN. You won the Oaks yesterday in surprising fashion, and what about your shot today with Ali Robb?
Well, I tell you, his last race was really impressive, and he had trouble in the race, and he's coming up to this race. I think he's coming up in great form, so I think that it's the horse that's going to peak today, and hopefully, like, have you seen before horses that have peaked in the bluegrass and the other races seem like they peaked before, and they're going to come into a bounce coming into the Derby. So I think he's coming up to his best race, and I think that he'll be there at the end.
You were disqualified in the Santa Anita Derby on this ride. It was a race won by Cavanier. Why don't you pick us up on the turn, Corey, and tell us exactly what happened in your view.
Well, as we were straightening away for home, Cavanier come out into my path, and I steadied and basically just waiting to have some room to run. And then when I switched my stick to the left hand and I hit him left-handed, I believe he shifted away because it was the first time he had blinkers on him, and his momentum just carried him out, and unfortunately they disqualified him. But I didn't think I really didn't bother the horses on the outside. We beat him by 10 lengths, and it was just one of those things where they felt that I bothered them enough to where it would make a difference. All right,
last year you rode Serena's Song. She was on the front end through vicious fractions. This is a different story with Ali Robb, I would imagine, tactically today.
Definitely. Last year, I'm just glad that she came back, and she's had a great year and had a great campaign after that. And this year, hopefully, we can turn the tables and sit in the right spot and get the job done.
Yeah, he's going to be at the back markers, and he just plans to sit, and then pick them off one by one, go as far as he can from there. Thanks, Corey. On Ali Robb, Chris?
And the sun has broken out, is shining on our old Kentucky home and on Millionaires Row here at Churchill Downs. We'll be back to set up the 6th race of the afternoon, the Amana Distaff, when we return.
With you back in our ESPN.
Thrifty Car Rental racing across America, presented by Visa. As the horses are coming on the track for our 6th race here, the Amana Distaff of his Coffee Springs out of the colors of Overbrook Farm. Galloping onto the track, as we'll set the conditions for you now. This Grade 3 7-furlong sprint, $100,000 added. It's for fillies and mares 4 and up. And joining me now, Tom Durkin, to take a look at the field.
It's a decent enough field for this handicap, Chris, and Wayne Lucas, well, what else is new? He's sending out an entry here. Coffee Springs, a very honest filly, and Carson Creek. Corey Nakatani, a late jockey change there for Jerry Bailey. Number 2, Rakita B, is trained by, well, Wayne Lucas. Gary Stevens up in that spot. Morris Code, the high weight in this handicap, at 116 pounds, and she's won over $400,000, and much of that right here at Churchill Downs. Number 4, Loris Pistolet, who was the winner of this race last year at 30-1. 2-1 right now. In conference, Shug McGahee in the 5th stable very disappointed yesterday with the performance of My Flag in the Oaks. Perhaps they'll rebound here within conference. Supa Jess, 2 for 2 at this quirky 7-furlong distance, and completing the field, Sophisticated Cielo with top local talent Pet Day.
Well, Tom Durkin, I want to thank you for leaving your booth. Who was that young lady there?
My assistant?
Right. Tom has to go back to his booth to his assistant, or maybe she has to go find her way to the infield again. That's where David Bruner is, out on the trail of his great adventures and taking his life in his hands in the infield here at Churchill Downs.
What do you like? Beer. Beer? Beer. Burr? Beer?
Beer.
Burr ran yesterday. Oh, you like beer? Okay. 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 You know, we got a lot of Michigan people out here today. How come that is?
Red Wings.
Red Wings. Red Wings. They won.
Going all the way to the cup.
Yeah, they're
all the way to the cup.
Okay.
I like Skip Away. Skip Away.
What about you?
Diligence all the way. I've been watching this horse for the past 3 years. He's a strong horse. He's got great running ability. He's going all the way.
This guy needs a job. This guy
all the way. He'll be there in the end. He'll be crossing the finish line with power. He's a great-looking horse. Excellent horse. I like him.
Okay. Hey. Oh, we got Prince of Thieves.
I like Prince of Thieves.
Prince of Thieves! It's all on. 15-1. You got Prince of Thieves. Best outfit of the day!
Okay. Full, informative opinions out here. What more can you want? You don't need the racing form. Come to the infield and get your fix here at Derby 122.
Okay, Dave, be careful there. When we return, a husband and wife team goes for the roses today here at Churchill Downs. Excitement is starting to build here at Churchill Downs, just over an hour and a half away from the running of the Kentucky Derby. And in 121 runnings of the Derby, only 2 husband-wife, trainer-owner teams have ever won America's most famous race. Another couple is set to try again this year. Sonny and Carolyn Hine. They've been riding through life together since they were married in 1962. And today, this gray bargain colt named Skip-Away brought them to the Kentucky Derby. Can a marriage survive this?
Yeah, I think we're loose. We're really loose. We have no children. And, you know, as long as you have a nickel more than you can spend, you can enjoy life. We don't belong to any country clubs, and our cars are 8 years old. She doesn't want to part with it. She likes it so much. There's not much we want other than just be happy and healthy.
We've never had a honeymoon. We have never had a vacation in 34 years. And maybe one day. I look forward to it all. But right now I'm happy and I'm enjoying this world.
You can enjoy it even more when you have one of the favorites for the Derby. And that's what the Hineses have in Skip-Away after this 6-length romp in the Bluegrass Stakes.
According to the racing form, he ran all his quarters with 23s and 24s the whole race, so I thought it was pretty remarkable.
The first time the Hineses saw Skip-Away at an Ocala 2-year-old in training sale at Calder, they liked him enough to pay $30,000 for him.
I liked the horse. I bought the horse. You know, I had him vetted after I purchased him, and the vet found a chip in his ankle and recommended me give the horse back, and which we did. And then as I was driving down the road, I said, gee, I didn't really want to give the horse up.
Sonny went back, and the seller knocked $7,500 off the price, and Carolyn had her horse, $22,500.
I just like everything about him. I mean, his conformation. Personally, he's very complacent. I find him, as I say, very smart. I think he inherited that from his dad.
His dad is Skip Trial, Sonny's most successful thoroughbred in more than 4 decades as a trainer, winning over $1.8 million.
Oh, yeah, Skip was a great horse for me. He was my biggest money earner. I bought him almost under similar circumstances, and he was a horse that always came through.
The last husband-wife trainer-owner team to win a Kentucky Derby was Jack and Catherine Price with Kerryback in 1961. The first married couple goes back to the 1904 winner, Elwood. But Mr. and Mrs. C.E. Boots Durnell were fighting. He didn't even come to the races that day. A sure bet is that the Hineses will be together no matter what. And that's even after what Sonny told Carolyn. She woke him at 4 in the morning, following their richest win ever in the $700,000 Bluegrass.
She said, look, I can't get to talk to you. And she said, I have to talk to you. I said, what's the problem? I thought maybe there's something terrible that happened. She said, I had to go back to Florida, maybe get a couple more dresses. Now we're going to the Derby. And I said, forget about it. I said, just take a check and go to Kmart, buy all you want.
For all you happy married couples, number 10, your horse, Skip-Away. Peter Williams, the famed New Zealand artist in the paddock. Sports. The racing surface at Churchill Downs in our Kentucky Derby special, May 4th, 1996. Bob Newmeyer, a little information for us before our next race, the Humana.
Well, the Humana Distaff is an interesting race. It is at 7 furlongs, 4 fillies and mares. And the horse they're going to key on is the favorite this year, but was anything but last year. And that was the surprising winner, Laura's Pistolet. Cora Nakitani was the rider last year, and this filly came out of nowhere to shock this field. A field of 10 went off at a cool 30-1, paid over $60 to just nip Morning Meadow in a sensational finish in 122-1. That was Laura's Pistolet last year at 30-1. She's back for this race again this year in much different circumstances. She came off a little bit of layoff and won a nice race at Turfway, and then did not run well at the Apple Blossom Grade 1 at Oaklawn. But we'll keep our eyes on Laura's Pistolet at 9-5 today. Tom?
And Sophisticated Cielo moves in, and we are ready for the start of the Humana Distaff, and they're off. Sophisticated Cielo off to a good beginning on the outside. Super Jess has early speed. Laura's Pistolet also got away quickly. Here's Rakiba B coming up the inside, and Coffee Springs is in between horses. So is Morris Code. They sort themselves out now as they leave the chute and head up the backstretch. Rakita B is the leader. Morris Code mixing it up in between horses. Coffee Springs 3 wide. Sophisticated Cielo 4 wide. A break of 3. Back to Super Jess running in 5th. Then Carson Creek 6 toward the inside. Laura's Pistolet up close earlier is now second to last, and Conference trails the field behind Brisk Fractions the first quarter in a contested 22-2. Rakita B with a narrow lead. Morris Code trying to get by her as they round the far turn. Coffee Springs sitting outside the lead, running in 3rd. Sophisticated Cielo under a busy ride now. 4 lengths from the lead with less than 3 furlongs to go, and they ran a half and an eye-opening 44 and 3/5 seconds from the back of the pack. Laura's Pistolet now is called on for her run. She's 5 lengths from the lead with a quarter mile to go. Super Jess outside her, then in Conference. They're at the top of the stretch. It's Coffee Springs and Morris Code going head-to-head now with Super Jess. Laura's Pistolet dives to the inside for the final furlong run, and in Conference is coming well on the outside. Morris Code is emerging with the lead. In Conference gobbling up ground on the far outside, and toward the inside, Laura's Pistolet. A wild finish. Super Jess is also right there. Here's the line. 3 noses on the wire. In Conference, Super Jess and Morris Code, 3 of them hit the wire together in a great stretch drive here at Churchill today.
We're going to have to take a look at the photo to separate this one, as Tom Durkin called it 3 on the wire here in the Humana Distaff, a $100,000  7 furlong sprint, and boy, did they sprint. Take a look at them now as they sprint for the finish line. Again, in Conference, Super Jess, and also battling for their wire, Morris Code there. Awful close. Morris, Rakita B might be there. Morris Code as well. Very hard to tell. As you take a look at Super Jess, also involved in that photo, and in Conference as well. We'll take another look at it down the stretch here. See if you can separate these. Bob Newmeyer, take us down the stretch.
Well, this is deja vu. This race last year involving Laura's Pistolet, this time on the extreme outside. In the black silks is In Conference. In the yellow and black inside of In Conference is Super Jess. Very tight photo. I think that the outside horse, In Conference, might have just got up by a nostril to nip Super Jess in a thrilling finish. Morris Code was also mixing it up. She had the lead in mid-stretch, and I think she's going to be a tough luck 3rd, but a 3-horse photo involving the familiar silks of Ogden Mills Phipps and trainer Shug McGahee. Mike Smith, maybe just by a nostril over Super Jess. Again, a very tight finish. We're going to have to go to the photograph to separate these, Chris.
The photo sign is up. You'll watch it again on the outside. Here comes In Conference. Did he catch Super Jess, or was it Morris Code? We'll be back to decide. In the Humana Distaff In Conference. But before we tell you about that, let's tell you about some more horsepower on ESPN tomorrow. NASCAR's 10th Winston Cup race of the season from Sonoma, California. It's the Save Mart Supermarkets 300 at 4 o'clock Eastern and 1 Pacific. Terry Labonte is on the pole. Dale Earnhardt, the defending champion, and is the current Winston Cup point leader. They'll be doing battle tomorrow. And there is the winner of the Humana Distaff In Conference. Let's take another look at a great stretch drive.
A terrific stretch drive here at Churchill Downs, all 1,234.5 feet of it. As they turn for home, Morris Code in the red and blue short lead. Coffee Springs is about to give it up on the outside after running hard through strong early factions. There's the gray horse. Super Jess is going to come on well. In the meantime, Laura's Pistolet dives inside, and in the meantime, here comes In Conference on the extreme outside, and she is just going to get there. In the shadow of the wire, Morris Code just beginning to fade. Far outside, In Conference with Mike Smith. Robbie Davis riding Super Jess. He had ridden In Conference in her last race. Ding dong, up and down the line, and it was a flared nostril of In Conference that got the wire first.
It is official now. In Conference, owned by Ogden Mills. Denny Phipps, bred by him. She is a 4-year-old daughter of Dejour, who stands at Sheikh Hamdam Shadwell Stud in Kentucky. And we'll take a look now at the official prices. In conference ring, a generous $20. She took like 8 trips to finally break her maiden. This was her stakes debut and first stakes victory in the grade 3 Humana Distaff. Super Jess second, Morisco third, and a bang bang photo there. 1:23-1. Let's check the Wittenauer splits. And again, they went quick in a hurry. 22 at the quarter, 44-3 at the half. 1:23-1. The final running time for the 7 furlongs here for the Humana Stakes. Well, Charlene Hawks has another celebrity for us. Let's go over to Charlene.
Thank you, Chris. A lot of beautiful people here at the Derby, and one of the classiest is Dixie Carter. And I understand you've been given the honor of singing My Old Kentucky Home. What do you think?
Yes, I have. What do I think? I'm excited. I'm honored. And I just hope I get through it without crying.
Now, not to put any more pressure on you, but 150,000 plus people watching you?
Well, a lot more people have watched Designing Women than 150,000. The feeling that I have about it is that there is a general empathy here and that everybody will be singing with me. And so I don't feel the pressure of doing a solo exactly. I'm just a song leader.
There you go. Hal Holbrook, your husband, is with you too. And you are Derby regulars. What is so special about the Derby for you?
Trying to win.
How seriously do you two take a look at the horses, the contenders?
Well, we only do it a day or two before the race, so how serious can that be? We're just playing around here and having fun.
Okay, and who do you like, Dixie?
Unbridled Song. It's the most beautiful name, and I love his story, and I love his hardships, and I love the romance of it. So against best advice, I'm going to put my money on Unbridled Song.
You've been sticking with him all week, huh?
Yep.
Okay, how about you, Hal?
I hope Unbridled Song wins because it's a beautiful horse, but I'm going to also bet on Cavanier.
That's my horse. Good job, yes. Hey, well, good luck to you. We'll be watching you. You'll be wonderful.
Thank you. You got to be singing along with me now.
I will.
All
You
right.
got it. All right, we'll go back up to Chris.
Hal Holbrook and Dixie Carter, as In Conference heads back to the barn area, convinced that she is as good as they thought she'd be when they bred her. Her first stakes win in Conference. The airship giving you the overhead view of Churchill Downs on Kentucky Derby Day 1996. Kate and Bader down in the winner's circle now with the winning connection to our Humana Distaff.
Well, Chris, I'm here with trainer Shug McGahee, and Shug, tense moments there. Did you think you had it?
No, I thought she'd gotten beat from where I was. I was a little bit in front of the finish line. In fact, I set up in the box and just about missed all the fun. But, you know, I'm really pleased with the way she ran. The first time she ever ran, she sort of didn't get away good and got way out of it and sort of finished up like that. So when it did happen, I really wasn't that worried about it. I was just, you know, she was taking a big step, so I didn't know, you know, whether she was this kind of filly or not, but glad to see it.
We're going to take a look at her coming down the stretch, and an incredible move there. Did you give any instructions to jockey Mike Smith or expect it to shape up this way?
No, she'd been laying a little bit closer to the pace, but I never did ever think she wanted to be too close. And the farther back she's been, it looks like it's been her better races. Mike, I didn't see it, said she jumped some tracks in here. He thought she'd have won maybe by a little farther, but from where I was watching it on TV, I couldn't tell that she had won.
Has to brighten up what has otherwise been a little bit of a disappointing weekend for you yesterday. You had the favorite My Flag in the Oaks. A very disappointing effort. I believe she finished 5th. Any excuses for that race?
Well, the only thing I can figure is the racetrack. This is a little bit different racetrack. It's a great racetrack, but sometimes you bring horses here and they just don't really seem to be fond of it. She had trained well over it, but her father wouldn't run over it, and her mother, even though it was a thrilling race, was probably the closest win she ever had. So, you know, we're going to use that as an excuse and just hope it was one, but she came back fine, and we'll look for something down the line.
Well, no excuses. And this afternoon, winning trainer Shug McGahee has brightened up the afternoon. Chris?
You know, we're always in a search in this game for more information. Who better to send out on this quest for knowledge than our cyberspace cadet himself, Tom Durkin.
I am a racetrack junkie and proud of it. But I'm almost ashamed to admit that I'm also a computer weenie. And if you're a racetrack junkie and a computer weenie, for the last year, you have been living in Cybertrack heaven.
Welcome. You've got mail.
You could always get email from fellow track nuts and stuff like that. But in the last year, computer weenies have been clicking, downloading, surfing the net. That's been exploding with gigabytes of information. Frightening, isn't it? You can chat in cyberspace, exchange tips on horses, or gab about your favorite racing personality. Used to be you had to come to Churchill Downs to experience things like, well, that kook who runs around with a roof on his head all day. Well, now he's on Virtual Churchill, their terrific website on the net with megabytes of information. Even a recipe for a good mint julep. It seems everything is on the net. I had to interview trainer Bob Baffert. Never met him, didn't know what he looked like. Downloaded his picture. Walked up to him like I knew him since kindergarten. Just how absurd is the amount of information out there? Well, Unbridled Song has his own website. So welcome to the future, racing in cyberspace. Now let's get back to reality. Hey, back, download me. Hey, save me the disc. Hey, get me out of here. Get me back to the World Wide Web. Hey!
Oh, somebody hit escape. No, never mind. Let him go through cyberspace. We'll catch up with him later. Hey, our Budweiser long shot is coming your way for the Kentucky Derby right after this. Some of the beautiful people on Millionaires Row at Churchill Downs, and all of a sudden the sun has disappeared. The black clouds are rolling in as the Kentucky Derby draws near. You can see it's a little dark, even, oh, it's dark under that hat anyway. What a hat that is. Welcome back here on our Kentucky Derby special on ESPN. And again, we're getting closer to that 5:32 post time, the 121st run for the Roses. And of course, it's a wide open field right now. You know, as we look for this race, so many stories to be told. Will Dwayne Lucas continue on to try to win a 6th straight Triple Crown event? Will it be the first time ever for a trainer like Bobby Baffert? Can Nick Zito maybe win his 3rd? Will Sonny and Carolyn Hine, the husband-wife team, be able to come through this year? I'll tell you, it should be something else. Or how about Wally Delasse? He's got a real long shot on Ali Robb, who was lucky, they said, to make this field. I wonder how he feels about it now that he's in the field for the Kentucky Derby. Janine Edwards?
Well, back here in the barn area, the Derby horses are getting prepared. Ali Robb is waiting back in the tub back there. I've got his trainer, Wally Delasse, with me. He just came over from the front side. Wally, your horse was a last-minute entry. I know you had high hopes to get him into the race. You must have been sitting on pins and needles.
I sure was, but what I was positive all the way through this. For about the last 2 weeks, we've been thinking about it. Can we get in, can we not? Because we didn't have sufficient group earnings to get in. But it was meant to be, and that's kind of a good omen. That might be an omen for us today. I'm hoping it is. But like I said before, we won the battle of getting in, and now we're in the war. So let's see what we can do. Maybe do we deserve to be in the battle, and we'll see what happens today.
In the Santa Anita Derby, he ran such a tremendous race, and that was coming after his epiglottis surgery, which was the same procedure that they did to his sire, Ali Sheba, who also won the Derby. Tell us about that and how it's made a difference with him.
Right. Well, that's remarkable that my horse would have the same problem that Ali Sheba had just before the Derby. It's made a big difference in his ability to breathe, obviously. I didn't even realize it, that he had a problem in the Santa Catalina, because Chris McCarron just thought, well, we just didn't run our race. And about about 2 weeks after the Santa Catalina race in a workout, he was breathing excessively heavy, and I thought, this can't be true. I mean, something's wrong. So we scoped him, and immediately they discovered that the epiglottis was entrapped, and it also had an ulcer on it. And so Dr. Merrill was the one that diagnosed that, and then Dr. Ferrero did the surgery on the horse. And as far as we're concerned, it was 100% effective.
All right, thank you, Janine Edwards, the Barnier, with Wally Delasse. And Wally's hoping that history will repeat itself. Ali Sheba also was disqualified in his last prep race for the Kentucky Derby, the Bluegrass of '87, then won the Roses. Ali Robb disqualified in the Santa Anita Derby. Well, who knows? Maybe it's his time to follow his father here at Churchill Downs. Let's see what the bettors here at Churchill have to say about the odds right now as we take a look at the money bet into the win pool at this point. Give you some of the favorites. There's Cavanier at 5, along with Cimarron, part of the Bobby Baffert train entry there, getting some support. At 6, one of the Lucas entries, Grindstone and Editor's Note.
And, of course, as we go down the field here, we can see that Prince of Thieves and Unbridled Song are still at 5. And then you'll get the field here at 8-1 with 1 Scratch City by Night. So with 19 there, you ought to be able to find some value. We certainly had it last year in 25-1 Thunder Gulch when he shocked all of us. How about a Budweiser long shot for the Kentucky Derby? Bob Newmeyer has one for you. Maybe 2.
Our Budweiser long shot is a coupled entry. This is Louis Couture's 8 starts, 3 wins. All 3 of his seconds have been in graded races. The jockey Chris Dantley, the trainer Nick Zito, same combo that won the 91 Derby would strike the gold. His entry made his diligence, owned by George the Boss Steinbrenner. My only question, will Steinbrenner fire DeSormo if he's not in good position down the backside? Why do we like these horses? Let me count the ways. They've been close in key races, the Bluegrass and the Florida Derby. They're 2 for 1. Zito's won 2 Derbies, and they have favorable post positions. But sorry to say, the Budweiser long shots lately have been ice cold. Today we plan to get off the schneid with the Zito entry in the Kentucky Derby.
All right, there's our long shot 2-pack for you for the Kentucky Derby. Right back with some more picks.
Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America. Today's Kentucky Derby special has been brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental, historically known for low rates. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. Budweiser, official sponsor of the 1996 Olympic Summer Games. This Bud's for you. Wittenauer watches, the perfect balance of hand craftsmanship and advanced technology. Wittenauer, the watchmaker's watch. And by Lens Crafters, helping people see better 1 hour at a time. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. Reservations at over 1,100 locations worldwide. Call Thrifty, 1-800-4CARS.
And almost as colorful as the jockey silks we've been seeing, the Fujifilm blimp has come to Kentucky to join us in covering the exciting Derby and just about every angle, including race coverage. 142,668, the official attendance, the 3rd largest Derby crowd in the 122 years of the Derby. And we're not done. Our 15 hours of coverage wraps up with an hour at 6 o'clock. It's the Kentucky Derby highlight show with all the replays, analysis, the winners and the losers of the Kentucky Derby. Bob Newmeyer, your thoughts on Derby 122.
Well, since 8 of the last 10 horses have played double digits, it's only 3 times in the last 10 years has the favorite even hit the board. Let's shop for a long shot. I'm going to go for editor's note, coupled with Grindstone. Off the pace with Gary Stevens. Charlene, how about you?
Well, Bob, a couple days ago when Cavanier was 10-1, I liked him. I still like him now that everyone else is coming around to my way of thinking. He's a strong, experienced horse, looks good in the Santa Anita Derby. Chris McCarron is riding him, of course, 2-time Derby winner. Plus, he's billed as the best of the West. I'm from the West. I like him. All right, we'll head on out now to Caton.
Well, about a year ago this time, a horse named Thunder Gulch had done nothing wrong except disappoint in the Bluegrass. Another horse, our Budweiser long shot Diligence, has followed the same pattern, so we'll stick with a winning trainer. That's Nick Zito, the Z-Man, and go with the Diligence selection. How about you, Chris?
Derek? Weirdest betting derby ever. Favorite? What favorite? There's 3 horses, 5-1 now. Usually ask people who they like. They make a bold prediction. This week you ask them who they like. They go, I don't know. So I'll say, I don't know. Ellie Rob?
There's no pressure to pick a winner. They hadn't been one since '79. That was the favorite in this race anyway. Spectacular bet. I guess I'll go with Skipway, though, and you're right. It is a weird betting Kentucky Derby. I think it could be a real shocker.
And Skipaway, what a price out there. 7-1 after that monstrous race he ran. There's a little betting time left. And with Skipaway, there's some little clouds gathering over here. If it rains a little bit, you might want to give him a little extra consideration as we approach post time.
It is getting darker. You can get a lot of value in this field. You can get a lot of horses with all of these entries in field for a little bit of money.
It's just so strange with this uncertainty around Unbridled Song, the post, the hoof, the crowd because he's so wacky. Go figure.
That's it. Go figure. I have left you with all this knowledge here. Figure it out yourself. Pick one you like. Pick a name, a color, a number, and have a great time at this 122nd Kentucky Derby. Well, coming up on ESPN.
Battling down the Churchill down stretch in the Kentucky Derby, and here comes the finish. It's going to be Swap, winning a length and a half.
It's going to be close.
It's a heartbreaker for Native Dancer. He gave it a try, but loses by a head to Dark Star.
Rock Hill Native drops back. They're in the final furlong. It's Genuine Red. He's Genuine. Here comes Rumble on the outside. Genuine Red is going to win it. Genuine wins by 1. Seattle Smooth opens it to 4 lengths. At the finish, it's going to be Seattle Smooth. He's going along easily. His Secretariat moving away. He has it by 2.5. Jam. Then on the outside, Our Native. At the wire, it's going to be Secretariat. He wins it by 2 lengths. On the inside, it comes Easy Goer and awe-inspiring, but with a 16th of a mile